background to the listeners, because one thing about On Point with Victor, we are a national show. So we reach people from California to New York to just all across, and we even have international listeners. So let's start with a little bit of background on you.
All right. Good afternoon, Victor. So good to be here on Point with Victor. Excited about being here. You've invited me before, and I finally got here.
And you finally got here.
And I'm excited about being here this afternoon. My name is Amos King, like you said. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel in the Army, 28 years.
28 years.
I retired back in 2011, and
wow.
I've done several things. I taught school. I was principal. I was general manager of a radio station. And in Atlanta, I have my own talk show on WYZE 1480.
Wow.
The name of my show was The Amen Corner.
The Amen Corner.
Where we tell the truth in your city, providing information, inspiration, and great conversation.
It sounds like we're going to need that show to come back.
Well, we was over in South Atlanta off Boulevard for a number of years and had a great time over there. Very, very capable and active listening audience over there, and had a great time. And then finally they sold the station, so I do my show on the Facebook Live now.
Okay.
Had a lot of followers that follow me onto Facebook, and I'm just excited about it, and excited about being here on your show today.
Excellent. Well, man, I'm so glad you were able to make it in, because I got to know you. Gosh, it was. Harold, was it 2016? I think it was 2016 when I met you first time. Now, you told me something the other day that I just you kind of made me feel really good, and you made my ego go a little bit bigger, which some people are out there laughing, going, you already can't fit through doors. Well, let me tell you something. When you grow up 5'2", you better have an ego, because life's gonna be hard if you don't. Now, but you mentioned to me, and we can get into some topics, and we'll get into some politics, but just on the set level, because this stuck with me, because you looked at me and told me that I was one of the first Republicans you ever voted for.
Yeah.
So
and that was the second one.
And that was the second one, and that would be Harold Dennis over here to my right.
Yeah.
Well, and you also made a comment about, and we'll just jump right in this, I guess, but you made a comment to me about Donald Trump and black folks.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the listeners what you told me?
I say this to Victor, and I often say it on my show. I say Donald Trump was the best thing happening to black America. You know, and I paused there because they're waiting on the hook. I said because he woke us up. Mm-hmm. You know, and what I mean by that is he does things unpresidential that people don't think he'll do. You know, on my show, I didn't do a whole lot of national politics. I felt they got enough press as it is. So I didn't do a whole lot of that, but I'm aware of what's going on, and I see. And I would say this right here, from a standpoint of leadership. I try not to question anybody who I never walked in their shoes. You got to understand the politics of the game. And a lot of times people out there today, they really don't understand the politics. That's why I try to stay local. And what I mean by that, if my trash is not picked up on Wednesday morning, I can't call Donald Trump, but I can call Michael Thurman.
Yeah, that's right.
And say, hey, they didn't come and get my trash today.
Now Thurman may not answer, but you can try.
I've got a good rapport with CEO Thurman.
That's good.
We've worked together on some initiative dealing with the veterans, so I don't really have a problem. Not with really a lot of people. Right. You know, some of them not responsive, and they go on their own very way, but I do what I have to do, and they do what they have to do.
Right. Well, let me ask you a little bit, and Harold, I would like to have your opinion on this, so just chime in when you're ready. But me being Hispanic, all my life I've been told you've got to vote Democrat. You have to. Letter D. It comes down to where people would tell me just because that I'm a Hispanic or brown or whatever they want to call me, but just because of that, I shouldn't look at the person. I shouldn't look at policy. I should only see the letter D, and that ought to be it. And that's an awful message to me. And I learned just through my upbringing and through reading myself and doing research and being in college and always the combative people that were, or the people that were combative with me the most were the people who said they cared the most. And a lot of these liberal groups would always want to argue with me and they would call me names and stuff. As soon as I said, I don't agree with everything, I never said I was a Republican. But the minute you push back, or that I pushed back, it was, oh, you're Hispanic and you're a traitor to your people. Well, no, I just don't want to be taken advantage of. And I want my vote to really count. So when it comes to the black population, and you mentioned it, Amos, when you said the best thing that happened, or he woke you up. Yeah. So maybe elaborate on that a little bit, on what you mean by that, as waking up in terms of not having your vote taken advantage of.
Let me explain this to you, how I see it. You know, most of the time people don't even know what's going on as far as politics. They vote for name recognition. You know, if you've been in office 30 years and they comfortable with you, they don't know most of them don't even know what district they in. I'm going to be honest with you. You have to speak truth to power, and you have to be honest about it. You have to know what's going on. There are some black politicians shouldn't even be in office now because they're not doing anything. There are some white politicians shouldn't be in office. They're not doing anything. So you have to assess the situation with the people that's running. And you have to look them dead in the eye and say, well, we're going to hold you accountable. That's what we don't do as voters. We don't hold people accountable. We go back, and what I do, organization I'm with, we check your records. See what you've been doing, what you say you're going to be doing, and we've got to hold you accountable. Doesn't matter. This last election over in Dekalb County with the state representative, we lost 2 senior state representatives. Okay? Coach Williams, and I think the gentleman named Mobley.
Mobley, yeah.
They've been there 16 years.
Yep.
2 rookies beat them out. I mean, beat them out bad, simply because this go around, a lot of politics taking place. The black female is voting for the black female. They don't even have to be qualified, really. And they're voting for them.
But they're going to vote for them.
That is wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You need to vex people to see what they're going to do. And if you vote for them this time and they don't do it, you hold them accountable.
Well, I'll take it further, Amos. If you're going to vote for somebody, you're going to give them your vote, and you're going to let them represent you. And then in 2 years, they hadn't done it, but they come back to you, oh, please give me 2 more years, I'm going to get it right. Yeah. And then 2 more years goes by, and that's 4 years. And then they come to you, oh, that other guy's bad, that other guy's a racist because he's got an R by his name. So you got to vote D. Now, I know I didn't do right, but I'm going to do it this time. And then you vote them in another 2 years. At what point can we convince people to say, you've got to match rhetoric to reality? At some point, you've got to match what they say to what they do.
Well, I tell you what point for me, because I read and I study and I know who's doing what. You know, you take an individual that's off into the paper, they know what's going on. You're not going to fool them too many times. I don't care if you're Republican or you're Democrat. You know, we have broad parties all our life. Let me give you an example. When I was in the military, our biggest raises came when the Republican was president.
Okay.
I mean, I should be happy.
So you should have been happy.
I'm serious. The biggest raises came.
Wow.
I remember when Bill Clinton came in, they downsized the military. I got out at that time. He gave you opportunity to get out, and people was getting out. But the biggest raises came when the Republican was in office.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, I should have been voting Republican because, hey, they're taking care of me.
Right.
That's how people see it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't where I was at this time.
Yeah.
I moved to a different level in our life because I know some people in there, and I see them all the time, and I know they should be gone. I say things that a lot of people won't say.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest about it.
You were Trump before Trump was
No, I just say things that you know, because you know what comes up when comes. Like I said, we tell the truth, and I say, if you don't mind, may I take just 5 seconds to pause for station identification for my show because it's on the clock. Want to pause it for station identification with the Amen Corner, where we tell the truth in your city, providing information, inspiration, and great conversation. I did that because I'm doing Facebook Live.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Victor, it's very interesting. People can smooth you over. Okay? They can smooth you over. Look you dead in your face and lie to you.
Yep.
Huh?
And politicians can do it better than anybody.
All my life, ever since I've been 21 years old, I've been in a leadership position in the military.
Mm-hmm.
The best guy I ever worked for in the military was two of them. One of them was white, and one of them was black. The worst guy I ever worked for was a black guy. So I judge I judge a man on birth of who he is, how he treat me.
Wasn't there another king that said judge a man by his character?
That's right. The content of his character, not by his skin.
And not by his skin. Absolutely. All right, look, I know some of you out there going, when is Harold going to say something? Because if you haven't said it, I'm going to say it. So when we come back, I'm going to get Harold to speak up a little bit, and if you're lucky, I'm going to get his wife to say something. She's going to give some news. No. All right, folks, we'll be right back. We're going to go to a quick break here, so you stay tuned. This is On Point with Victor, listening to America's Web Radio.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower. Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the americasbroadcastnetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back, folks. You are listening to America's Web Radio. This is On Point with Victor. I am Victor Armendariz. I had a request for that, folks.
Yes.
Look, folks, if you are tuned in and you want to watch this, if you want to see Colonel Amos, if you want to see Harold Dennis, you guys don't need to see me. This is a face for radio. But these two guys, especially this guy over here, he's always dapper. Is he not always dapper? Always. If you want to see what's going on, you can go to America's Web Radio, our Facebook page. We do the show live from Facebook. So right now, if you go over to the America's Web Radio Facebook page, you can see this live and you can interact with us because I can see your comments popping up on the screen. You can also go to YouTube. It's being there live, or you can go to Amos King's Facebook page where he is going live right now. So I want to get back. Harold, I want to bring you in for a minute. Let's touch a little bit on, because let's update people on what's going on with the Dekalb County Sheriff's race, because I believe things have gotten postponed. Mm-hmm. And so what are we looking at now? We're looking at May.
So right now, currently, Victor, we're looking at May 19th for the election. It's been talked by the Speaker of the House, Mr. Royston. He wanted to delay the election into June, but they can no longer do that because the Secretary of State, the most that he can actually push it off is 45 days, mm-hmm. in which the day he actually set it off, it was 56 days for May 19th. So we are still sticking with the May 19th date. We're still going forward with the May 19th date. Also, they will start early voting a week ahead of May 19th. So we are encouraging people to do your absentee ballot online. Once you get in the mail, go ahead and send that back so you can go ahead and get an absentee ballot. Or you can also go ahead and vote early. If you want to be brave and go ahead and vote in person, you can do that. I do feel that I myself will actually go ahead and vote early to get it out of the way. You can go in and be out in 5 minutes.
Now, with what's going on right now with the Wuhan virus, the COVID-19 corona, And how has this changed your campaign? I mean, what kind of campaigning can you do right now?
Well, right now, it has changed the whole game for campaigning for any candidate that's currently running for office. You can't do the door-to-door canvassing. Just to be honest, no one is really listening to the candidates right now in reference to campaigning because they're more concerned about the coronavirus. But it was a blessing earlier during the week. Myself, Gary Guan, Mr. King, we also went out into the community, and we went to Doraville Police Department, and we gave the N95 mask to Doraville Police Department.
Wow.
So we can protect our first responders here in Dekalb County. Yes, sir.
That is excellent, excellent. Well, I'm going to come back to Mr. Amos King. When we look at a race like this in Dekalb County, where we know, and bear with me, let me tread on everyone's attention span here because I know a lot of you aren't here in Atlanta, but I want to just because what happens here in Dekalb County, what we're going through, I can promise you is going through in the state that you're in, the city you're in, and the municipalities that you're in. There's going to be some similarities. And what we've dealt with here in Dekalb County, if you look past at our past sheriffs, I mean, I need only go to the guy that just left that office and the kind of trouble that he was in, the things that he did, and then the intern sheriff, and I'm not going to throw out a lot of names, but she hasn't really been exemplar, let's just say. And I think one of the problems in what we touched on a little bit earlier is you've got a situation where Dekalb County and South Dekalb, you've got a lot of minority voters, and they tend to just put in the letter D. They'll just look for the letter D, and we're not making any progress, especially when it comes to sheriff. So when you got a guy like Harold Dennis comes along, how can we get that message out to minority voters and tell them it's okay to not vote for a Democrat and give another guy like Harold a chance?
I think things are changing now. Black folks not crazy. I won't let you know that just because they might say it Democratic, they vote Democratic.
Right.
Most of the time, we don't want to get involved. But let me just say this here about this situation with Mr. Dennis, him being a Republican, because this is a nonpartisan race that he's in. My organization, Justice for Veterans, we vex the candidates, 9 of them. And I don't mind saying it because I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not trying to get a job from nobody. And a lot of people do hang-ons. They try to get jobs from people once they win and everything. I don't have to work no more in my life. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't need it. Mr. Dennis ain't never promised me nothing. Matter of fact, I don't want to do no work.
Right.
So
you've done enough.
Yeah, I've done enough. So I'm saying is we vexed all 9 candidates. We heard them out and we listened to them. Okay, we came to a conclusion. Our organization, the Veterans, Justice for Veterans, that we was going to support Mr. Dennis. Now, let me tell you why. I went to the sheriff in office now, and I said to her, "I want to talk to you because I want to talk to you. What are you going to do for the veterans? That's my major interest, and that's my major interest. What are you going to do for the veterans?" We just had last year a case with a young man, Sergeant Anthony Hill. He was murdered by a police officer.
Yes, he was.
Okay, he was murdered by the police.
Yeah.
Naked. He was shot naked. It was just a traumatic event with that took 4 years. That it shouldn't have taken 4 years. 3 judges recused themselves. People got off the bench. Everything that possible went wrong. So there are some concerns here about how the veterans are being treated. Besides Anthony Hill, Quintavious Harris, he was killed at the bank up there in Marietta. Mental illness. Brian Easley, that was Brian Easley at the bank. Quintavious Harris shot the police officer over in Dekalb County. Say shot him in the hand. Well, he was shot at 57 times by 4 police officers. Wow. Mental illness. All 3 of these individuals are mental illness. So I had a meeting with the CEO, and I asked him, what are your plans to make sure that Anthony Hill don't occur again? Quintavious Harris don't occur again? Brian Easley, what's the plan for that? So we're vexing all of these agencies that's in leadership, the CEO, police department, sheriff department. So that's what I wanted to talk to the sheriff about.
Right.
What do you plan to do? If you come up on a mentally ill man, he buck naked, what are you going to do?
Right.
Well, she never got back to me.
You're kidding.
She never got back to me, so she eliminated herself.
Yeah.
Process of elimination.
You're right.
She eliminated herself. 2 other people running for office said this here. And you got to remember, I'm a military guy.
Mm-hmm.
They said something happened at the jail over there. They wasn't really on board with it, but you went along with it.
Mm.
We can't have people going along with something just to go along.
Just to go along.
Lead, follow, or get the hell out the way.
Or get that's right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And that's what you got to have. You got to be able to speak truth to power. If something's not right, you got to be able to say, this is not right.
Yeah. Well, there's a motto in the military: we don't know how to fail. And what I take from that is, if we fail, we're going to get up and we're going to get it right. We're not going to go along to get along.
And that's what's happening a lot in local politics.
Mm-hmm.
When you see people being in office 20, 30, 40 years, there's who's coming behind you. See, that's one of the major problems. You know, if you've been in office 20 years, I personally feel like that's too long, but you need to be training somebody else to come along to take your place.
Right.
We got some fine young people out there today. They got brilliant minds and everything else. But we won't pull them along. We want to die in office. And that's a sad commentary right there.
Very. You know, I couldn't have said that better myself. I rail all the time on my show about career politicians. I love the United States Constitution and the Federalist Papers, and I study those all the time. I usually have a pocket constitution on me. And the Founding Fathers warned against career politicians, and that's what we've gotten into. And the problem is it's not just on the federal level. You mentioned it. Politics really does start on the local level, and if you ignore your cities, your county, all the way up to the state house or the state senate, if you're ignoring that, then you're giving your power away. And what I mean by that is you're giving the power of your vote away.
I often question people who's running for office. You're 71 years old. I'm just going to be honest, you know, you can say what you want about me. It's time to go to the House, man. We've got to get some young people.
Amen to that.
We've got to do. I don't even vote for you if you're over 60.
Well,
you know, Harold might be sliding in here.
Just making it.
I mean, come on, it's time to go to the House.
Just a little bit, sir.
It's time to go to the House, man. You know, people ask me all the time, man, why don't you run for office? For what?
For what?
Huh? I'm just trying to live, man.
That's right.
I'm trying to make it to the next. I'll be in no office.
And we're outside. You got to dodge the Wuhan. You got to dodge H1N1. You got to
dodge man. So I don't, you know, it's nice if things go along, if we're being effective in our community, if we need to do what we can in our community and make things happen.
Yeah.
But we are not doing that.
We're not. And you know, and you can, I want to hear from you in a second, Harold, about this, because I've often said, and you probably heard me when I was on the campaign trail in 2016, if we can't fix our community, how the hell are we going to fix the federals? You know, when we complain about D.C. and the swamp, if we can't start in our home, and if we can't start in our county, and then the city, and then the state, how can we clean up D.C.? And there's so many things that you mentioned, young folks. We have talented young folks, and we need to cultivate that instead of just telling them that living in mom's basement, depend on the government. They're going to take care of you. Ask if you have a question, go to the government. We got to get away from that. We got to get back to the self-responsibility, and I do believe there's a lot of young folks that they have that natural yearning inside, which I call the American spirit. The yearning to be free, the yearning for liberty, the yearning to, if I put some sweat equity out there, I'm going to get a little bag of rewards.
Let me say this, Harold. I'm going to let you take over. There's two places that young people are leaving us, in politics and the church. Okay?
Yep.
When you look at the church, you look around now, young people are gone. They're going to churches where they got young ministers, young people where they can relate to them. The biggest budget in any church should be the youth budget, because they're the future.
They're the future.
Okay?
Wasn't there a song about that?
It wasn't no R&B song. but think about it, though.
Wait a minute. Whitney Houston said that's right.
Oh, okay.
No, you're absolutely right, though. And we got to take a next break. I know this is going by fast, but we're going to get to another break here. But when we come back, I want to elaborate a little bit more on that, because you're absolutely right. We're not investing in the youth.
No.
And we hear a lot of talk every election season. Invest, which usually means spend, but it ain't going where it needs to go. Right. And then I want to hear your take on as a sheriff, how you can help the youth. So, folks, hang tight. We are going through a lot of topics, and we can't have much more fun with this. So we'll be back in a second. You're listening to On Point with Victor, America's Web Radio.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual, family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Karuchak. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hal Scherz, as we talk about the topics that doctors talk about amongst themselves, such as Medicare, Obamacare, alternative forms of care, and health information technology. Join us every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Yes, that is the sweet music of the band Pointless. And look them up. Well, maybe not look them up. We weren't that famous.
That's your band.
That's my band.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, all right, folks, welcome back. This is On Point with Victor. And my guest, Amos King of the A-Man Corner, and Harold Dennis, candidate for Dekalb County Sheriff. They are joining me today. I do want to mention, you guys are active today as listeners, and I cannot thank you enough for tuning in and listening. I love it. You guys are great. You guys are what makes this show awesome every week. But I have a, you've got your veterans group, Amos. Well, I got a Marine who just fired in and said that you're right about the raises, and he said the biggest raise he ever got was on Ronald Reagan. And but I also have some listeners in Florida. And they're already starting to chant Amos for president. Amos 2024. So you don't have to forego this age thing because we already got Amos for president stuff. I can see it now. Amos and Nikki Haley. How we can't lose.
Yes. Well, you already lost it.
He aged himself out. Let's just say that. But oh man, this guy. All right, well. I want to, when we left before that break, we were talking about the youth and how even the churches aren't really putting that budget, instead of maybe going to the. You were giving an example about the guy asking for $300 million.
Yeah, I read this morning where he's a mega church evangelist, Kenneth Copeland. Mm-hmm. I saw him this morning saying that he's blowing the virus away, and that. 3 or 4 years ago, I guess he prophesied that this was the year that his ministry raised $300 million.
Wow. Okay,
well, it might be, but is that relevant today? I mean, people are losing their jobs.
Right.
Yes. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have a place to eat, a place really to stay. No, that they're very fearful. Mm-hmm. But to go and say, this is a year.
Yeah,
that we're going to raise $300
million.
Okay, let's just say you raise $300 million.
And then what's he going to do with it?
What are you going to do with it? In time, I hope you do raise $300 million so you can give it away.
So you can give
to the people.
To the people.
Yes. You see,
the people.
These are the message that we should be sending.
Yeah.
Nothing against these ministries or anything, because I believe God is in it with these people. Mm-hmm. But here's where I think they go too far, and I don't mind saying it. Mm-hmm. If you in your church and you're a tither and something happens, you fall on bad luck. Mm-hmm. Some churches you can go to, you can't even get no help. Mm-hmm. Now let me just pause here to clear this up. I'm a member of the Buell Baptist Church in Decatur. I got shot a few years ago. My church was there for me.
Wow.
You know, because I give back. So they was. I can honestly say that they was there from visitation to help me. They was there, and we do. In our church, we give to the community. You don't even have to be a member.
Wow.
We give to the community, but you can't come back but once every 6 months because people will.
Yeah. Well,
the church, huh?
They'll rob their mother. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's I think a scripture says when a man rob God, not only will he rob him, he'll tie him up, so he can't come back.
So he can't come back.
I heard a preacher preach a sermon one time, 52 robberies a year, and none of them being reported. Now, you preachers out there listening, leave it alone now. I already told you to preach that. That's about around a man and wife. So you start preaching and he put it out. 52 robberies a year, and none
being reported.
Every Sunday. That's right.
I like it. No, you know, it's true. It's true. I talk about this sometimes. So I was raised now my mother was a Southern Baptist. My father was raised Catholic with Jewish influence because my grandparents were Sephardic Jewish. My dad though was raised Catholic because his mom, they converted to Catholicism, and my mother Southern Baptist. And not once growing up did my dad say you have to do this, and not once did my mom say you have to do this. But they always warned about exactly what you just warned about, and they said, but you know, you've got to have your spirituality, and you're going to grow and you're going to learn. But they gave the same principles, but my dad would always talk about exactly what you just talked about there's a robbery every bit. He didn't say that like that, but
once a week.
And it ain't being reported.
Can I set the stage for you?
Yeah.
If I believe in the vernacular of my mind, if I was doing this message, I would call Dennis from the police station. Hello, I want to report a robbery. Well, where is it at? You give a location. Well, did you see who it was? Yeah, I saw all of them. What did they look like? They had red, white, blue, yellow, all of them on. Well, their sizes, they big, small, short, whatever. There's too many of them up here. You send a car down here. We got to build a fence around them. That's how I would begin my text. With that sermon. 52 robberies a year. And not one of them.
Being reported. Man, I don't know how you're going to follow that up, Harold, but but I do want to, since we were talking about the youth and how they're being a little bit ignored, well, a lot bit ignored in the community, as a sheriff and in the office, and I know, the sheriff you have a duty, but there is something that can be done. You can help with the youth, can't you? Or tell me what your plan is.
By starting a youth program at the sheriff's office to help our youth resist gang involvement and drug usage by acquiring federal funds to facilitate an aggressive youth program so we can get them off the streets and have them being productive citizens of society.
See, and that's common sense. You don't have a political agenda. You don't care if they're D's or R's.
No.
You just want to do what's right. And this is what I love. And this is the conversation I think we need to have more of. Because we have, you can take the current situation right now that's going on with the COVID-19, this Wuhan virus, and the way people want to. This was an opportunity for D's and R's and L's and I's and this was an opportunity for Americans to stand as Americans. We could stand together and say, we have an invisible enemy. We can get through this. We will get through this together. We had to shut down an economy. This wasn't your fault. It wasn't an R's fault. It wasn't a D's fault. But we're going to work through it together, and then we're going to help people together, which is where I think as the sheriff's office could work with churches, because there's no conflict there. There really isn't. And just as a politician could work with a church, and a church could work in the communities, because there's probably some of my liberal listeners out there are probably screaming right now, church and state separation. Well, I'll remind you to read the First Amendment, because it is a freedom of religion, not a freedom from religion. And as long as the state is not saying this religion will be the religion of the state, we can work together, and they can work together.
Certainly.
And so this was an opportunity where we could have stood together and everybody could have worked together, but we've got too many politicians that want to fight each other. And I know you've got some.
I think what happened in this situation, right, we wasn't prepared.
No, without a doubt.
You've got to look at when President Obama left office, the infectious disease people was fired. All of them was fired. Okay? You cannot allow something like that to happen. It has to be a continuation. The word is continuity.
Right.
There was no continuity left. See, this is why, sometimes I believe in the Army, because the military, rather. If you fire me today from my job, I'm committed to the military. I'm not committed to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So the show is going to go on. I can get fired right today. They got a job for me today somewhere else. So I'm not committed to the individual. People become committed to the individuals who are in office. When they leave out of office, it just lagged. We was not ready for this here.
Well, there's a number of reasons why we weren't, and again, this is one of the things where we should be able to stand as Americans, because both sides, you do have natural where there's going to be people who go and come, and there was that infectious disease office. It was weeded out because it was overbloated, and I think President Trump wanted to get to a streamline where we could get caught up, because it was brought to his attention that after the Ebola, under the Obama administration, they didn't replenish the PPEs, they didn't replenish masks, they didn't replenish respiratory. So there is something where, again, it shouldn't be politics, because if one area is trying to, what happens with politicians is they look at, well, maybe we can forego this because I want to put money towards this project or this program, when we really ought to be putting Americans first.
Let me come in on what you just said about what they didn't replenish. In the Army, we call it SOP, Standard Operating Procedure.
Right.
If they had that in place,
right,
it doesn't matter who's in office.
Then it naturally happens.
It just naturally happened. You just follow along. President Trump, he shouldn't have to say anything.
Right.
Okay, you give a briefing that morning, we out of masks. Okay, we'll bring the masks in.
Right.
It's not rocket science.
Exactly right.
That we want to do that. But I want to pause here to come local.
Okay.
For the state of Georgia, with Governor Kemp. And this is one of the problems I think was going on in Georgia. Too many different messages are being sent.
Oh.
Now, the other day he asked people to be off, I think the streets at about 6 o'clock on last Friday.
On Friday.
Well, he put that message out at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
I thought it was 9 o'clock you have to be off the streets or you'll be getting fined or whatever. Well, he just went the other day and opened up the beaches. Now, you're asking people to be off the streets.
But yet,
you open the beaches. And here's the other thing. You're asking me not to gather with more than 10 people. Okay? People, loved ones are dying. They can't even have a funeral.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
No more than 10. First it was 250 for the church. Then it was 50. Then it got down to 10 people for gathering. Well, hell, I go to Walmart, it's 500 people in there.
Amen.
There's no social distance. Now, explain that to me. This is how I feel now. I'm just going to be honest with you. I feel that the powers to be, Walmart, Targets, all of them, they're friends with the powers to be. President Trump came up a few weeks ago. He was making a conf. And who was standing with him? Walmart. So we continue to flow. Because it's not making sense to me that you want me to not gather with no more than 10 people.
But yeah, you're going to send me to a supermarket with everybody else.
And not social distance.
Right. I'm glad you brought
just some toilet paper. That's all.
Oh, you know what? I got to pause for a second. I saw this thing. Somebody sent this to me today, but they said if you're single, they got the best ad that you need to put out right now, and it is, I'm a man with toilet paper seeking woman with hand sanitizer for some good, clean fun. so if you're single out there, that's my advice. But no, you're so right. I was having a discussion yesterday. I've got a good friend of mine who he's on the conservative side, but him and I both have a lot of friends that are on the liberal side. But he was talking about that very thing. He said, I don't care who the government official is or where it's coming from, but if they're telling me that I need to be off the streets and I can't work past this hour, and if I'm at home, I need to have less than 10 people, and if I am with 10 people, we need to be 6 feet apart. But yet, they want you to go to the grocery store, whether it be Costco, Publix, or Walmart or Target, and they want you to stand in line. Well, take a look, people. Just like Amos said, when you're in the store next, take a look. Do you see social distancing? No. You see people, and I mean, so where does it make sense? And that's it. So there's got to be a happy medium somewhere, but we got to stop giving out mixed messages, which I think it was your point.
If I was the president of the United States, what I would have done?
Actually, hold that thought,
all right,
because I don't want to interrupt you in the middle, because I like this, because they're already calling for you to run for president. 2024. So I like this. So you hang tight, folks. When we get back, we're going to have President Amos King is going to give us address. We'll be right back, folks. This is On Point with Victor.
Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them. Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love mine and the warm heat air massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Karuchak. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hal Schertz, every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. and listen to the Doctor's Lounge, where you get a private insight into the conversations that doctors have amongst themselves. Join us Thursday, 8 a.m. every week.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back, folks. We are back. This is On Point with Victor. I am Victor Armendariz. Okay, so some of you who are just watching live are wondering why we're all here laughing our tails off. Well, that's because the wonderful, beautiful wife of Harold, she pointed out, she goes, I'm trying to practice social distancing, but my husband won't cooperate. And I say, Harold and I agree. When we got married, we were told we are one.
We are one.
So we're going to be going through a crisis through
everything, no matter what.
And you actually
said she has my back and I have hers.
And you rightfully pointed out we're going to die together.
We're dying together.
All right. I want to go back. When we went to that break, Mr. President. Yes, President King, you were about to address the listeners.
This is what I would have done. I took a week out and had a meeting, got with everybody, the diseased people and everything else, and I would have put this out, mandated put this out. In 2 weeks, we're going to shut down the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going to be coming out the house unless you're the policemen, firemen, nurses, doctors, very, very essential people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Nobody is coming out. I see you out where you're going. You're not going to work because everything is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that might sound crazy, but that's probably the only way that you really can do this, to get everybody in at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You give them enough time to buy enough food for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you stick to what you're going to say. You come up and you say, I'm going to fine a person $1,000. Now, how can you sit there and say that? Well, you just took that man out of his job.
Yeah.
But you're going to fine him and then lock him up for 6 months.
While you're letting criminals out of jail.
Why are you letting them out of jail? Where are you going to put these people?
Yeah, where are you going to put them?
See, it's just scare technique.
Yeah.
That's another show that we have to talk about.
Right.
But you're trying to scare people.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the people, I would remember who you are. when time comes to vote next time,
Amen.
not be in office.
Amen to that. One of my messages today in the second hour is just that we need to be, I hope, that people are listening and watching and paying attention.
Yeah.
Because when they go to the vote in November, there's some of these folks that need to be thrown out.
Let me just highlight my state. I'm from Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas is the only state in the South that has not instituted this stay-at-home thing.
Wow.
They're the only one so far. There's been 8 states, and all 8 states have Republican governors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these people are on the fence because those people looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Right now in the state of Arkansas, we're turning over the dirt. What I mean, when we get ready to plant for a crop.
That's right. It's
How long you want me to
crop
stay in if
time.
I'm a farmer?
Yeah, if you're, And where do these people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, where does she think this food's going to come from? The farmers are, and I got to say too, since you brought that up, we really need to be giving a lot of thanks to the truck drivers and the farmers out there, because if were it not for them, we wouldn't have what we have right now that's in the shelves, on the shelves or in the store. So, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. It has to be a tough spot to be in as a president. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or Independent, as a president, to face what we've faced here. Because a lot of people want to put blame on Trump or on the D's and the R's and all that, when really, if you want to blame somebody, we need to blame China. But that's not the time right now. Right now we got to get through this, and that's when I think we should stand together.
The only common denominator between the rich man and the poor man is death.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay?
That's right, yeah.
When envision in your mind 2 graves dug, 6 feet deep. Okay? Well, they don't bury 6 feet no more. It's 4 feet now.
It's maybe all they need from me, but
I want you to envision that. 2 holes right there. What's the difference? Even right now with this virus, the rich man died just like
the poor man. Yeah, that's right.
Huh?
That's right.
So you have to look at it like that and say, wow, man, the only common denominator. So we have to take this serious.
Absolutely.
But what we have to sit down and talk about now, and what they should be talking about, what do we learn from this?
Oh, yeah, that's got to come.
Right now, you have to talk about that. What do we learn from this?
Right.
How can we go forward? And not because I'm sure them guys up there in Washington D.C. looking around at each other, they don't know who's going to be there tomorrow.
Right.
There's no protective shield. I don't think there is.
Not that
we know of. But they're looking at each other saying, "Well, when did I get it? You don't have it today. You could have had it back in January or February."
Well, that's a good point too, because they're starting to find out now and starting to study. And I was warning about this weeks ago because of the fact that China hid this. We don't know how long they hid it, but now they're saying that there are maybe half the population here in the United States could have had it.
Yeah, they're asymptomatic
and never been symptomatic. They were asymptomatic, or they had it and got rid of it. So that we don't know how long it's been here.
You know what's interesting? I was reading about in Wuhan, China. They're not having cases hardly no more. Now, how could that not happen? If it started there, what do they have? They got the virus?
No, they stayed inside. They completely shut down the government.
Look at Beijing and look at Shanghai.
Yeah.
They didn't even have a whole full-blown they had a lot of cases around China, but most of it was Wuhan in that area. But you're right. Now, the other thing we got to remember, this is a communist regime, so they ain't exactly being all honest with us. So we really don't have great data, but from what we're seeing, it looks like they're already sending people back to work.
Italy's catching hell.
And Italy's catching hell.
What do you think about as far as Amos was saying earlier that people don't have jobs, but the police, they want to fine them $100. But what about the nurses and the doctors who have student loans?
Right.
Do you think the government should go ahead and forgive their student loans because they're doing a great job in protecting the United States?
That's a great question, because I think one thing we can be thankful for is that all the models have been wrong. In every state, all the models have been wrong. So we haven't had the death rate, we haven't had the hospitalization rate that everyone was fearing. But on the other hand, we have had a lot of people that are having to go into the hospital, and were it not for the nurses, the doctors that you speak of, Dennis, and I think there are some states that are pulling in students who are about to graduate, residency. Their residency, instead of happening in a normal hospital, their residency is happening with a crisis.
Right.
And I'd be 100% on board, Harold, if these people who have this massive debt, and I don't want to burden the American citizen with the cost of that. But what I would...
But you just signed a $2 trillion...
But we just signed... Exactly, which is what I was getting to. So if we're going to start throwing out money, that money needs to go to the very people that A, we put out of work, yes, and B, to the first responders, yes, and to those students. And I'll bet you most Americans wouldn't have a problem with some of that going to help the student, because that student who was going to graduate and go through residency just got fast-tracked to the front lines.
Yes. Certainly.
And imagine being on the front lines when it is a contagious disease. Now, we got some good news today, because it looks like 98% of the people who get the COVID-19 recovers. Mm-hmm. 98% recovery rate. That's great news.
But they're not saying that, though.
No, they're not reporting it.
Okay.
They really aren't. But we got that news out today. But as a first responder, knowing how contagious this is, you don't know if you're going to be part of that 98%, but you're still putting your life on the line, on the front lines, with a mask and gloves, hoping that, well, I got to treat this person. And those first responders are running in. Mm-hmm. They're not stopping going, I'm afraid of getting this. No, they're going in to save those people and save Americans, and I think that's a great thing.
Two things I want to comment on. When I hear you say 98% are recovering, mm-hmm, I want to remind you, in Michigan, 40% of the people who have died have been African American.
Wow.
So where are you recovering from?
Right.
So people get statistics.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know if they're right or wrong.
Well, right.
You just hear a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing you're talking about responders, my daughter works at Greater Hospital.
Wow.
And I call up, I say, I want you to quit right now. I want you to quit.
Wow.
She said, well, Dad, I'm not a quitter. You know, I protect
you
myself.
Raised her too good.
Yeah, but I'm just being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to quit.
Well, you're a natural
because I was afraid.
Mm-hmm.
She works down there with people who got it on the floor.
Well,
and everything.
Let me just interject real quick. For those of you out there who aren't familiar, not from Georgia, Grady Hospital is our level 1 trauma center. Mm-hmm. This is not a hospital where you're just going to go when you need. This is the hospital they take you if you're gunshots, if you've got a cracked open head. I mean, it's a trauma center. And so now go ahead. I mean, that puts it in perspective. If somebody's got COVID-19, they're going to Grady.
Well, if you got trauma, you want to go to Grady.
Yeah.
Ask me. Mm-hmm. I got shot.
You were a gunshot victim.
and Grady, I went there. They saved my leg. Mm-hmm. 8 surgeries later, I spent 45 days in Grady. Wow. That's a long time to be in a hospital. Yeah. I was in ICU a long time. So Grady is the place to be. I'm trying to get up on the billboard. Where said Grady saved my life.
Grady saved my life.
But I want to pause here and say this about Mr. Dennis, because we want to get this in. Our organization, Justice for Veterans, vexed him, and we support him. Now, the other guy who came in second, I called him up. And I said, hey, sir, this is what we did. You came in second. This is who we're going to go with. Because we want to let you know how we come to this conclusion, how we came here. Now, we didn't look at Mr. Dennis that he was a Republican. The race said nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan.
Okay? So, and I had a long talk with Mr. Dennis. I told him, if we support you, we expect you to do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. No more than that. You don't have to give us nothing. Be fair to the people. The sheriff is the most powerful man in the county. People don't realize it.
No,
the sheriff, I was reading somewhere that only somebody that can arrest the sheriff is the coroner. That sounds crazy.
It does sound crazy with that.
Well, this, being slick and all, this side Dekalb County gets over. They don't have a coroner. They got a medical examiner.
Yes. No.
Dekalb.
That's the cat. Loopholes.
The sheriff is a very important man.
Yeah, very much so.
Very important man. So we've got to have people with great integrity. I'm going to give you a starting figure right now. The last 50 years. Finish me up, Mr. Dennis.
Finish
me up.
We got to do it quick because we're running out of time.
Basically what Mr. King was saying, in the last 50 years, every sheriff has been arrested at DeKalb County Sheriff's Office except for one. Unbelievable.
All right, folks, we're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank Amos King. I want to thank Harold Dennis. Folks, look them up. They're awesome, and we're going to have you guys on again, and hopefully, Amos, you're going to have a show, I hope. So you say, all right, folks, we'll be back. Stay tuned for another hour of On Point with Victor coming up next at 2 o'clock. We'll be back.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the America's Broadcast Network.